The whole issue of calories has to go down the tubes. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, that's the problem, and I am here to #kill the calorie as a unit of measure. It has no place in our in our dialogue. It has no place in medicine. Calories suck. Now, why do I say that? If you take a mole of glucose and you throw it into a bomb calorimeter, you will get 4 calories per gram. That's true. If you take fructose and you throw it in a bomb calorimeter, you will get 4 calories per gram. That's true. We are not bomb calorimeters. Okay?
What's a bomb calorimeter?
It's a contraption that explodes whatever you put in it and measures the heat that's given off from it.
So it measures the amount of calories in something, effectively, using some
because that's what calories are, is the amount of heat required to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree centigrade.
Okay.
So it's a measure of heat, is what it is. That's what calories are. Now, we do our burning in these little organelles inside each of our cells called mitochondria. This is all about mitochondria. And when your mitochondria work efficiently and well, you can burn energy to completion, and you can capture that energy in the form of chemical energy in your cell called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and that's what your cell uses to power all of the functions that the cell needs. The little molecular motors and making stuff and, and also cleaning house, and recycling junk, okay, in order to keep your cells thriving and alive, okay? So mitochondria are essential. Now, glucose stimulates mitochondria to work better. Glucose is actually good. It stimulates 2 enzymes necessary for mitochondria to work. It stimulates an enzyme called AMP kinase, which is the enzyme that actually makes more mitochondria. And it's the fuel gauge on the liver cell, so it tells the liver, make more. And it also stimulates an enzyme called HADH, hydroxyacyl-CoA dehydrogenase, which is necessary to cleave 2 carbon fragments and burn them, oxidize them for energy too. So glucose we can call good because it helps mitochondria. Fructose, on the other hand, this sweet molecule in sugar, in sucrose, it inhibits 3 enzymes in mitochondria. It inhibits that AMP kinase. It inhibits an enzyme called ACADL, acyl-CoA dehydrogenase long chain. It inhibits CPT1, carnitine palmityl transferase 1. That's the enzyme that regenerates carnitine, which is the shuttle by which fatty acids can get into the mitochondria to be burned. So the net effect of fructose is to inhibit mitochondrial function. So, does fructose constitute energy if fructose is actually keeping you from making chemical energy in your cell? This is the conundrum. What do you mean by energy? If we're talking heat, then fructose is energy. If you're talking ATP, fructose inhibits ATP. And that's what we're talking about, because that's what leads to systemic health problems, not the heat. So all of these people, as far as I'm concerned, anyone who ever uses the word calorie, fire them. Because they don't get it. They are part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Many people will say that sort of counting calories has helped them with their weight loss goals.
You tell me. Virtually everybody who counts calories loses a little bit of weight, and then they plateau, and then they get tired of their diet, and the weight comes rushing back. Okay, 90% of people who try to diet through caloric restriction regain and sometimes yo-yo back even higher. So I don't accept that.
Are there studies that support this idea that sort of the yo-yo dieting is a byproduct of calorific restriction?
Not because of caloric restriction. It's a problem of insulin resistance. It's a problem of when you gain the weight back, did you gain it in the liver? is liver fat, because now you've got higher insulin, and insulin blocks this hormone that goes to the brain called leptin that is in charge of that set point. So the higher your insulin goes, the less well your brain can see leptin, and so the less well you can regulate. And so that's what drives your weight up even higher. So you don't regain the weight by eating, fish and vegetables. You regain the weight because you went for the bread and the rice and the pasta and the potatoes and the sugar.
What's a better plan then? If I'm trying to cut a couple of pounds, what's a better approach to take versus sort of calorie counting or these kind of things?
Get the insulin down. There is no weight gain without insulin. Insulin is the energy storage hormone. 20 years ago, from doing the research on kids with hypothalamic tumors who released enormous amounts of insulin, we gave them a drug that suppressed insulin release. They lost weight and they started exercising spontaneously because we got their insulin down. We showed that the lower we got the insulin, the more weight they lost and the better they felt. Insulin is the bad guy in this story. So numerous investigators, the world over, have now demonstrated that insulin is a primary driver of both obesity and diabetes and metabolic syndrome. You got to get the insulin down. Okay, how do you get insulin down? Best way, don't let it go up. What makes it go up? Refined carbohydrate and sugar, all the stuff you have over there in that corner.
Just to be clear, he's not pointing at my lunch.
No.
We have a pile of different sugar products that we brought for the interview over in the corner, including various things that you find on a shelf, everything from apple juice to some popular snacks to some other things.
Don't forget the peanut butter cups.
The peanut butter cups, yeah. And even this is just sort of sugar. It looks like water, but it's flavored water where they've added sugar to it.
Right.
So yeah, all of that stuff over there.
All of that stuff. So get the insulin down, all right? So cut the refined carbohydrate, cut the sugar, the dietary sugar. That is the single best way to mitigate this process by improving insulin resistance, by getting the insulin down. And we have done this time and time again. Basically, I turned my obesity clinic into an insulin reduction clinic for this reason.
So what advice do we give that is simple and actionable for Jennifer or Judith or Dave, who's listening to this now? They are, 40 years old potentially. They have a 9-to-5 job. They're very busy. Maybe they have some kids to feed at the same time. They don't have time to be looking at doing a fine sort of tooth comb over every single thing that they're putting into their body. They're not a scientist.
Agreed. It's a problem because the food industry has made the grocery store a minefield, and it's really easy to set off an explosion. If you walk in, you've basically lost. That's how bad it is. Understood. So the simple rule is eat real food. So what's real food? Well, food that came out of the ground or animals that ate food that came out of the ground. The problem is we all lead busy lives and we're looking for labor-saving devices because people don't even have time to cook. Most people, 33% of Americans don't even know how to cook anymore. So, what are they going to do? So we understand this. I mean, it's a problem. Agreed. We need food that is metabolically healthy for us, not metabolically detrimental. And the problem is that as soon as you put the added sugar in the food, you have made it metabolically detrimental. Now, the food industry will say, well, there are all these other good things in there, like vitamins and minerals. We fortify it, et cetera. So I'm here to tell you, toxin A plus antidote B still equals death. Okay? Just because they put some vitamins in there, or you take a dietary supplement, if it's not solving your mitochondrial dysfunction, what's the point? So you can't believe what the food industry is telling you, okay? If they say something is healthy, it's usually the opposite. Whatever it says on the package, believe the opposite, because they have an incentive to put wrong stuff on the package. And I'll be honest with you, I'm part of, numerous lawsuits suing the food industry for deceptive advertising, misbranding, mislabeling. 70% of all of the items in the American grocery store are misbranded or mislabeled.
In what way?
They say things that are not true.
Give me some examples.
Well, first of all, time they use the word healthy, okay, they say no added sugar, okay, but in fact they put in apple puree or raspberry puree or evaporated cane juice. You know, there are 262 names for sugar, and the food industry uses all of them. And so they will say that something's no added sugar, but that in fact is actually not the case. Okay, there's a whole host of this. Kellogg's has been sued for Raisin Bran. Okay, everyone thinks Raisin Bran, well, it's just raisins and bran. What color are the raisins in Raisin Bran?
I've never seen it.
Well, I mean, raisins are purple.
Yeah.
You know, purple brown.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, normally.
Well, the raisins in Raisin Bran are white. Why? If you take the raisins in Raisin Bran, that's supposed to be 11 grams of sugar, but on the side of the package, it says that one serving is 18 grams of sugar. Where'd the other 7 come from? It's the white, because they've all been dipped in a sugar solution to make them sweeter, as an example. Okay? So, Post has been sued, General Mills, theirs was dismissed. Mondelez, a whole host of companies are actually under the gun now to change their practices.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.